Welcome to Caffeinated Flicks.
Where we drink coffee and celebrate diverse directors.
I'm
And I'm Kenzie. All right. How's your week been?
It's good. We got back from California last weekend.
How was it?
It was what it was.
That is a raving review.
So we stayed in like downtown San Diego, like Little
Mhm.
Italy is what it was
I
considered.
love Little Italy.
I did too, except, I mean, I knew the parking was going to be crap,
Yeah.
but apparently
just
there
gotta
was
walk.
apparently there was some like music festival that we were like right down the block from going on that weekend.
Mhm.
And so it was like double crap. We literally paid $60 for one night of parking. I was like, what the fuck? And the hotel we were at had parking, but it was like, it had like 12 spots. It was super limited. And then on top of that, in that shitty parking lot, the $60 a night parking lot, our car battery died.
Again?
Yes. So when we got it checked, they said the battery is perfectly fine. That apparently something about corrosion. I don't know what about cars. And so it died.
Was the connection?
I have no idea.
Corrosion on the connection point?
Oh, yeah.
I had that happen with my Ford Escort. Mhm.
Oh, no. Yeah. So then we had to miss our plans. So I went down to the office because I was like, oh, like maybe someone there can give us a jump because they have those little things. And
Mm.
apparently one of the coworkers took it. I know. He's like,
Rude.
first I went down. Nobody was there. I had to wait like 40 minutes. And then I went down again. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. My friend took it. And then he's like, just call your insurance and we'll let them in for free. I'm like, oh, geez, that's so nice of you. And then we realized that we just removed AAA or roadside assistance from our insurance.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, Kenzie. They're trying to save a buck over here, but it backfired. And we had to pay $100.
Why would you do that right before a trip?
I know. So we had to pay $100 for a guy just to give us a jump. There were no other cars around us either, or else I would have asked a complete stranger. So I did that last time. But yeah, so, or someone else last time, a random stranger gave us a jump. But oh my God, it was so shitty.
I'm sorry.
But other than that, it was fine. We went to Six Flags.
Fine.
My age was definitely showing. My body hurt. I was so stressed the whole time. Everything, after every single ride, I'm like, that ride scared me. But it's like every ride scares you.
You sound like the rest of my family. Like, we went to Six Flags last August, so almost a year ago. And we went for my dad's 50th birthday, and Brant had just turned 21 also. And we went with my brother, my brother's spouse, and my dad. And mind you, my brother is a year younger than I am. And then my other brother had just turned 21. And I was the only person who was like, all right, let's go do every single ride. My body is fine. We're going to go ahead and hit everything. Meanwhile, my brother Morgan, who's a year younger than me, he's like, oh my gosh, my body can't take this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. And he's the one with a kid. So I'm like, dude, you're going to have to like deal with it. I'm going to be the person who's taking his kid to all the theme parks because I'm the person who's like, let's do all the rides multiple times. Let's get this done.
Yeah, that was Billy. I was like, I can't take it. By the end of the night, my knees hurt. My knees.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what the heck? Like, I've never felt this pain before. Maybe from all the like whiplash, like your legs dangling on one of the rides, the standing ride. It was supposed to be a standing ride, but I was too short.
That sounds about right. What are you, like 5 foot? I can't remember.
5'1".
5'1". Okay, so I was close. Yeah.
Same
people,
thing. Yeah.
They're not quite made for that height.
Yeah. Anyways, it was rough. I mean, I'm glad we went, but it was rough on me, man.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. My dad is very adamant that I think by the time my brother and I were like 8 or 9 or something like that, he had pretty much broken us because we used to go to theme parks like every summer. and we would ride all of the big rides and every single roller coaster, and like nothing scared us really.
That's amazing. I've noticed the older I get, the more scared I'm getting of everything. Like when I was younger, I was fearless. And now, like at each passing year, I'm like, I'm more scared.
I
Like
feel
my
like that
palms
makes
sweat.
sense. I feel like that makes sense. When you're younger, when you're a kid, you basically have like no inhibitions because you haven't learned to be scared of anything
Yeah.
yet. But I
Pretty
will
much.
say the only like roller coasters that I won't ride are wooden ones, but that's because they're too jerky and they set off my migraines. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, those are the only ones.
that's like one of the only ones I wanted to get on. Was
That's
the
so
wooden
funny.
roller coaster.
See, and that's the thing is like if you don't like roller coasters, most of the time people really like to do the wooden ones, and I think it's because they don't do as big of drops or they
Yeah.
don't go upside down.
They cruise.
But yeah, they cruisers.
That's what I wanted to do. But it was closed. I was so pissed.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so funny.
Oh, goodness.
But-
So how-
Oh, I was just about to say, like, you went to go see our new podcast friend, Leah Bonema.
oh, my God. Yes. How did I forget that major part? Yes, I saw Leah. And it was so funny because we get there, we watched her. And like at the end, I wasn't sure if it was okay, like to approach her.
Hmm.
And so I was like, oh, I don't want to bug her. I knew like, I think she mentioned like her family was there or in-laws. I'm not sure. And so I was like, I don't want to bug them. And so I ended up walking away. And then I ended up messaging her later on Instagram and I told her the situation. She's like, oh my gosh, like I was thinking the same thing. She's like, I wasn't sure if I should chase after you. And she's like, I'm glad we're both like had the same like thought process. I was like, okay, now that I know it's okay to approach you,
Yes.
the next time Kenzie and I see you, we will for sure say hi.
Absolutely. And that's what I told her too.
Yeah.
And so next time that there is a show that she's at where it's a distance that we can make, we are
Yeah.
going. You and I are making
Yes.
that trip together, and we are going to go either get drinks, get a meal, get snacks. I don't know what. Get
Yes.
coffee, our very iconic coffee.
Yes. Oh my God, that'll be so much fun.
Since she now lives in California, she's been an avid hiker, so she loves to go hiking now. And so we can always do that too. But yes, we will make something happen. It'll be so much fun.
It was such a good show. She did such a good job. And I loved her openers that she chose too.
Oh, good.
So I'm so glad I went. It was fun.
Yay. So ringing endorsement for Leah Bonema.
Yes.
Go see her.
Yes, please. Alrighty. How was your week?
My week was pretty good. I told you a little bit ago, I got Invisalign earlier. And so that has been an adjustment. I did not realize how much of an experience this would be. So if anybody has never had Invisalign before or is thinking about getting Invisalign, like if that is what you want or if that is what you need or that is what is recommended to you, definitely go ahead and get it. Just know that it is an adjustment period. There is some pain, some soreness. Chewing is a different experience now.
Wait, you don't take them out when you eat?
No, you do,
Oh, okay.
but your teeth are still so sore that
Oh,
chewing
yeah.
is still different.
Oh,
So
man.
just be
sad.
prepared for that. So yeah, that's been interesting. Luckily, at least my face doesn't hurt anymore. For the first 2 days, like my entire like face hurt.
Ah.
So, like basically the bottom half of my face, I should say. But just, yeah, it was a whole
That's not-
experience. Yeah.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess in about 6 months, fingers crossed, that is if everything goes swimmingly, that is when the Invisalign process should end. If everything goes 100% perfectly. But I will give my endorsement at the end or my rating at the end to let you know how it went.
Okay. A little plug-in after our movie rating. You'll put in a little Invisalign rating.
Exactly. Let you know my stance on it.
That's nice.
But last night I had the kids, so I took them to go see the new Little Mermaid.
Did you like it?
I did, actually. I thought it was really, really good. And I don't really like most of the live action Disney movies that I've seen so far, but this one I thought was really good. So it was nice. And then I took them out to dinner, and yeah, it was actually really nice to spend that time with them. And so it was good.
Fun. Little side note about when we went to the movie was cute. I liked it. I'm glad we went, but the audience did not pass the vibe check for me. I can't believe like how many people are okay with being so loud and obnoxious during the movie. And also, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's a complete no-no when people take their shoes off.
I've never even considered that.
Never. The girls next to me who were full-grown adults literally took their shoes off. You know how it's like a recliner with like the seat? She took her shoes off. I didn't like that.
Wild.
Anyways, they kind of like ruined the experience for me.
I'm sorry. When we went, so because it's been a couple of weeks, like it was pretty much an empty theater.
It was still packed for us.
I think it was only like 6 people in there besides us. And I felt so bad because, of course, like Jeremiah was probably the loudest person in there.
Oh,
but luckily, like there was nobody near us really. But we tried to keep him a little quiet. But it was very loud in there, just like the movie itself was very loud. So hopefully he wasn't too loud, my hope. So we'll see. But of course, because he's 3, he's going on 4, he had to use the bathroom quite a few times. So we had to get up and go. But luckily, nobody was near us. So we didn't have to like interrupt people like to get through the row and stuff like that. So that was good.
Yeah, with little kids and like kids movies like that, that's expected. But I expect better behavior from adults.
From adult. Yeah,
like
grown ass adult.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, one thing if you're 4.
Yes.
It's another thing if you're 40.
All right. Or 24, whatever. So what are you drinking this morning? Yeah.
So Richard and I went and we had our little breakfast date, which we haven't done in a while. And our traditional breakfast date place is Einstein's. And so we got bagels, and then we love to get Einstein's coffee, which they have caribou coffee at all Einstein's. And they have, what we like to do is we like to do like a mix between the vanilla hazelnut and their dark roast. And it's so good. There's nothing like that vanilla hazelnut that they have there. And I don't know why. Like, you can buy it and you can make it yourself, but something about the way that they brew it, it just like hits different. But
I like that's the case for lattes in general.
That's
like,
true.
yeah, you can make your own at home, but it's different when someone else makes it for you and you overpay.
Right. Yeah. This is just brewed coffee, but yeah.
Yummy. What kind of bagels did you get?
Oh, I got a cinnamon apple bagel with peanut butter on it.
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
It was very good. But yeah, so what about you? What are you drinking?
I went to Black Rock this morning.
Ooh, you know what? I thought about going to Black Rock.
Did you? I did. I thought I was just going to make a homemade iced chai. But then I was like, no, I want espresso. Like, I want an actual latte.
Who are you?
And so that's why I pushed it back. Like, it's my breakfast started at 9:30 because I was just going to make my chai really quick. Because I was like, no, I want something. And I got a bagel while I was there. And I forgot to take a picture of it. They look like burger buns. These things do not look like bagels. I should have taken a picture. Anyways, so that was disappointing. But yeah, I got a Mexican mocha, half sweetened with soy milk. It's delicious.
Ooh. Nice. So how, like, is it cinnamony or is it like spicy, like cayenne?
More cinnamony.
Cinnamony. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Not spicy at all.
Nice. See, I think for me, like, I don't really like cinnamon in my chocolate. So I think that's why I don't traditionally like Mexican hot chocolates or anything of that nature. But I do like cayenne in my chocolate. So like I love to do like I make a Chipotle chocolate biscotti, and I love those. I think those are
Ooh, that sounds
delicious.
yummy.
But
Last place
yeah.
I went and got that Mexican mocha, I think they did cayenne and they just put it was legitimately spicy to drink. Like, I want a hint. Yeah. It's kind of like sea salt on like a hot chocolate, just a little smidge, just to give a little something. But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, I'm so ready for fall and winter.
Oh my gosh. Right?
I'm over summer.
We're now hitting the hundreds, and I'm just like, can we just be in Halloween already? I'm wearing my like Halloween skeleton shirt right now. I'm just like, I'm always ready for Halloween.
Yeah, I'm already over summer. Anyways, it took a hot minute, but today's movie, we're doing Bend It Like Beckham, and directed by Gurinder Chadha, or Chudha. And so she was born on January 10th, 1960. So I was confirming, is that Pisces?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was born in Kenya, but she grew up.
I think it's Capricorn. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure if Pisces was the first one or not.
I think Pisces is after Aquarius.
Oh, yeah, it is. My bad.
It is after Aquarius. Yes. Capricorn. Capricorn is before Aquarius.
My bad. She's a Capricorn. So she was born in Kenya, but grew up in London. She began her career as a news reporter for BBC Radio.
Fancy.
Oh, and in 2001, she's actually set up her own production company, Bend It Film. Thinking cute.
Oh my gosh. I wonder what it is about the phrase bend it.
That I was wondering too, because they keep mentioning nobody can bend it like Beckham. But
I mean, in soccer, that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Because of the way that the soccer ball
flies,
bends, like the way that you. So, okay, I'm going to use like a bowling reference. You know how?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like when
how it curves.
Yeah, how it curves. So if like you're bending the ball in the air, essentially.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I'm trying to figure out like Bend It films. Like
I'm sure it's just a reference to the movie because it was in 2001 and then this movie came out in 2002.
Right. I wonder if Gurinder was a gigantic like soccer fan. I feel like she must have been to make this movie.
Right. And then let's see. So other films that she's also known for is Blinded by the Light and Paris, Je t'aime. And she was also nominated for 2 BAFTA awards for Best British Film for Bend It Like Beckham and Baji on the Beat.
Ooh, so fancy.
Yeah. So getting into the cast, we have our lead who plays Jess, and that is played by Parminder Nagla.
I love her, and while I was watching this, I was trying to remember why I remember her. And so I was looking at her filmography, and then I figured it out. She's on Psych, which is one of my favorite TV shows, as Gus's girlfriend for several episodes. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's Rachel.
Oh my God. Yeah, I have not seen that, but I think she makes an appearance because I feel like I've seen her in like a bunch of like random roles throughout the years. And I'm pretty sure that she makes an appearance in Grey's Anatomy.
Probably.
I think she plays like one of the nurses or doctors. So yeah. And then of course we got Keira Knightley, who plays Jules. And then we have the very handsome Jonathan, at least in this movie, Jonathan Rice, who plays Joe. And then we have her sister who plays Pinky as Archie Punjabi. And I've also seen her in a bunch of random things also.
I just love the name Pinky. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I have to also note, like, the gentleman who plays her father, Anupam Kher, he is in the first several seasons of New Amsterdam as a neurologist, and he's phenomenal. Like, when I saw him in this movie, I was like, oh my God, it's BJ.
That's awesome. And then So the captain Mel is played by Shaznay Lewis.
Uh-huh.
And then we have Joel's mom, who's Juliet Stevenson, who plays Paula. And then Jess's mom, Mrs. Bamra Shaheen. Alrighty. And then did you want to go ahead and get into the 10 out of 10 rating?
Always. All right. So the 10 out of 10. This movie explores the difficulties that strain hopes, dreams, love, and friendship, and incorporates humor beautifully. Along with a stunning cast and brilliant filming, the soundtrack enhances and amplifies the atmosphere and mood of this work of art. All actors and actresses give an extremely good performance, surpassing expectation in every way. Parminder Nagra is brought on to the big screen for the first time in this film, and she is exceptional, capturing the vividness and vitality that this movie is all about. Keira Knightley also works well with her co-stars, and this is her best work so far. All in all, this is a brilliant film and one that everyone should make the effort to see at least once.
Awesome. I just want to point out how early Keira Knightley started working and how big her films got. Like in this movie, I want to say she was like 15, maybe 16 years old.
I think she was 18 because I think she was 19 in Love Actually, and Love Actually came out like the year after this.
I'm pretty sure she was 17 in Love Actually. 17 or 18 max, because I Googled it. And also Pirates of the Caribbean, she did the same year. Mm-hmm. She was like young.
Looking up now, she was 18 in Love Actually. All right, so 18.
But that was when the movie came out, not necessarily when it was filmed. Wow. Usually it's like a year prior when all that goes on. So she was bebe.
It says that she was 18 when the film was released for Bend It Like Beckham. So she must have been like 17, 16 when this was filmed. Which is funny because Parminder and Jonathan are both like 7 or 8 years older than Keira Knightley.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw that. Parminder, who plays Jess. I think, because I was looking at like the random trivia facts about it. And they said there was a 10-year age gap between her and Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. Which you can't tell. I feel like Keira Knightley has a very like mature look. She has very defined features.
I don't know. To me, she always looks really young. Like
she looks youthful.
14.
Oh, you think so? I don't know. I feel like it's very mature.
I think
not
with
old,
that
but
haircut, that haircut makes her look really young.
Yeah, probably. Alrighty, so 1 out of 10. We have had a lot of enjoyment out of movies about the Indian culture, so we anxiously awaited this one. There was one about cricket this year that was especially good, but this one was really hokey. It was too complex for kids and too hokey for adults. Okay. The sports sequences were terrible. You couldn't really get connected with this movie. The Indian people were cartoonish, very insulting.
All right.
I feel like that's always our reaction after the 1 out of 10 rating.
I know.
We're like, okay, like, what movie were they watching?
I know, right? I'm like, I know that I don't know soccer, but I'm like, I was convinced by the sports sequences.
I was too. Yeah. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into the note. So we have our lead, who is Jess Bamra. So it starts off by we're basically watching like a soccer match on TV, but Jess is imagining herself playing in the soccer game in England alongside with, of course, David Beckham. So she's imagining herself as like a professional soccer player. She comes back to reality when her mom busts in her room telling her to stop watching that skin-headed boy and to go downstairs because her sister's getting married and she's going crazy.
Oh my.
I know. Oh, yeah. Jess and her sister Pinky, they go shopping out for a new
Sorry.
New sari, yeah. And because apparently some other girl got the same exact color as her, and now she can't be dead seen in the same exact sari.
I know. It's like this light baby pink or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I bought all the accessories to match already, and now I gotta go buy another one. And this is just for the engagement party. Even.
Yeah. This isn't for actual wedding. Yeah. She calls her freaking cow. And then I decided to like count how many times she calls someone a cow. And it's never in reference to like them being overweight or anything like that. It's just an insult.
Yeah. It's just an insult.
It's her favorite insult. Freaking cow.
Stupid cow.
Yes. And so while they're shopping, we actually see Jules and her mom going bra shopping. And her mom is trying to get her to buy like all of these cute, dainty, like lawn
push-up bras,
lacy and like pretty colors. And she's really trying hard, but yeah, she ain't having it.
Her mom is problematic.
Oh, very problematic. Oh my God.
She wants to sexualize her daughter so much. I'm like, you just let her be. Like, she is legitimately airing up this push-up bra to give to her daughter. And so that way she can like push her daughter into like a sexual relationship with men. And I'm like, dude, let her be.
No. And I love how she refers to herself as a girl. Like all the other girls are buying their daughters these.
Right. I'm like, oh my gosh. And she even puts her hands on her daughter's breast.
Oh yeah, to give them a little push. And then when she goes for the sports bra, she's like, oh no, darling, not those sports bras. They're so boring.
They're so plain.
So plain. And she's like, it's not like anyone's going to see them. Anyway. And then, let's see. So later on, after the shopping, Jess stops by the park to play some soccer. And she happens to catch Jules' eye while she's on a run. Then they host Pinky's engagement dinner.
Which is beautiful, by the way.
Oh my gosh, so vibrant.
So many people.
So many colors. Like, oh, it was beautiful.
It's so funny, though, because her fiance gets a call in the middle of the engagement dinner. And in the middle of this, everybody picks up their phones. Everybody's like, hello, hello. And then he picks up his phone. He's like, he apparently works someplace. He works for like a mechanic shop or something like that. Because based on the conversation, he's like, something about a carburetor or.
Who the heck knows?
He's like, I told you not to call me. I'm at my engagement dinner.
Right now, I'm like, sir, you couldn't step aside for this call. And he's so loud about it.
He's and everybody's just like,
everyone. Yeah, literally sitting in the middle. They're literally about to be fed. It's a part of like,
yes. Yep. Oh my gosh. It's so funny. Oh,
that's funny. So it's a new day and Jess is back at the park playing soccer. And Jewel approaches to tell her about the Hounslow Harriers and that she thinks she should try out because she's really good. So then Jess meets Joe for a trial and she kills it.
Which is funny because he's like, I don't think so. And then.
Yes, because
he's very skeptical. But Jules is like, come on, just give her a chance.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, fine. And then he asks her, like, okay, why don't you go ahead and change out? And she's like, I don't have any, like, professional clothes to change into. And he's like, all right, well, go put on your trainers. And she's like, this is what I have. And then he's like, all right, well, just go get on the pitch. Like,
yeah.
He's like, what position do you play? And
yeah.
She's like, I don't know, forward. Like, I'm out in the front.
Yeah. He's like, where do you normally play? She's like, oh, in the park. And he's like, rolls his eyes. He's like, what position? I mean. So yeah, this guy, he's not convinced that. Basically, he's like, you're pretty much wasting my time. But he ends up killing it. And so he allows her to be on the team. And so the three of them are walking. So I love how it's Jules, Joe, and Jess.
I know, they're all J's.
So he tells her how Jules used to whine that there was no girls' team. And that after he injured his knee, he started coaching the girls' team. Jules tells Jess that she wants to play professionally one day and that they can go ahead and do so in America. Apparently, it's a lot more progressive out there.
Which I'm shocked by, honestly, because
either.
I'm like, football is soccer in every other part of the world but America.
Yes.
And soccer is like the national sport everywhere but America.
Yep.
And yet America is the only place that has a girls' soccer team? Like, I'm very confused.
I am buying it. Anyways, Jules and her dad are kicking the ball around back at her place. And she happens to hit like her mom's petunias or some pot. And so she busts out and she's yelling at her. She's like, no man is going to want her if she has big old muscles than him.
You know what? And that is a trope that we have luckily disproven as somebody who has been a power lifter. So
what does she say? She's like, sweetheart, there's a reason why Sporty Spice is the only one that doesn't have a fella.
And that pisses Jess off, or Jules off, excuse me. And so then she just storms inside. Her mom is just...
She's something
else.
Yeah. And her dad's like, I mean, what does he say? He's like, can you like just get off her back? He's like, if she's more obsessed with football as opposed to chasing boys, well, I'm over the moon about that. Like,
right. Well, and the thing is like, we don't really know how old these girls are. We can kind of presume that they're maybe 17, 18 because they're out of high school and getting ready for uni. Yeah. But that's all we know.
Yeah. Around 18, I'd hope. Given the situation that they're in later on.
Exactly.
Let's tell ourselves they're out of high school.
Let's say that they're 18.
Right. So on Jess's first day of practice, Joe gives her some new soccer shoes and he gives her her uniform. So she sees that the uniform is like they have to wear shorts for the uniform, and she just looks at them and she goes, oh shit. She's not happy.
So there's a scene where she's in the locker room, she's getting dressed, and all the other girls in the locker room, they're getting dressed a normal way where they actually like take off their clothes to get dressed.
Yeah.
And she gets dressed like she puts the shirt over her other shirt.
Not comfortable in that situation. Clearly.
Yes. Did you ever do that as a kid?
I don't think I did, but I knew people who would do it. Because I remember in high school. Okay. I feel like at first, I remember like when you first go to high school and then there's like changing rooms and locker rooms and things like that. I feel like at first everyone would take turns going to the bathroom. But eventually it's like, this is a waste of time. I'm just going to get dressed right here. And so, but I knew people who were very self-conscious and uncomfortable. And it could be like a body issue, but also it could be a cultural issue as well.
Very much so. And I think a lot of it stemmed from that point for Jess is the cultural issue. But yeah, for me, like I was definitely one of those people who was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and change. And it became like a point of pride. I was like, watch how I can change in secret, essentially. I'm going to do like a magic trick.
And I love how Mel, the captain, she like references her period. She pulls out a tampon and she's like, the paint and decorator is here. Gotta go.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I did not even get that.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so witty. Because like out here, we're like, I don't know. I feel like, at least back then, we were so secretive about our period.
Oh, like, yeah. It was just like Aunt Flo. It was like, oh, it's that time of the month. It was just like everybody was in shame. And a lot of people still are, honestly. Like, that's an unfortunate thing. Yeah. Like, we just got to make it more normal. Like, it's just a
normalized
fact of life.
Periods because it is normal.
It is normal. Women make up, or people who have uteruses make up at least 50% of the population. And they have to shed their uterine lining at least once a month.
I remember when I was in high school, we were like on the bleachers for something. And someone was looking for someone needed something. And I was like, oh, I have one in my bag. And I had like, I had pads in my bag. And so there was this boy and he pulled it out. And I remember I was so embarrassed. I was so humiliated because I had a period. And like, how, like, thinking about how stupid is that? I hate it.
Right.
I hate that we shame girls for periods. Yeah. Anyways. So Joe sees that Jess is sitting on the sidelines. She's missing practice. So he goes over to see what's up. He finds out that it's because Jess has this massive burn scar on her leg. She tells him that she got it when she was a kid, trying to make beans on toast. And apparently, like, her pants caught fire. Her sister tried throwing it in the bath, and when she pulled off her pants, it ripped off a bunch of her skin. Now she has this very right there.
Have you ever had beans on toast?
Yes.
How do you like it?
I like it. I think it's delicious. What's it called? Yeah, and I do the actual, like, pork and beans. You know how they have the vegetables?
Really?
It's really good. I like it with tomatoes on top, and it's delicious.
Yeah, I made it. So I have, what is her name? I can't remember what her name is. But let me look it up. But I have a cookbook called Indianish.
Padma? No.
Priya Krishna. I have Priya Krishna's book, Indianish.
Oh, like Padma?
No, not that one. Not
Oh,
the one
she's the only Indian chef I know of.
No, there's more than just than her. Priya Krishna, I have her cookbook, Indianish, and so she's got a recipe in there for beans on toast. And so I've had that before, and it's really good. I highly recommend.
Yeah, when my mom and I visited England, we like had like the full like traditional English breakfast, and it was really good. I liked it. I know they had a vegetarian version, so it was really nice. And then, so Joe shares like when he busted his knee, he had to have multiple surgeries on it. So they basically show each other their scars. He gives her a little pep talk, and she's out.
Well, and then he mentions like, my scar doesn't allow me to play soccer anymore. Does your scar inhibit your ability to actually play? And she says no. And he's like, well, go ahead and get out there then.
Yeah. She's like, no, it's just ugly. Which of course, again, everything comes down to our looks, right? So we get another soccer practice montage. So Jess is having the time of her life. She goes back to the park to tell the boys about her first day. These boys that they hang out with, they're such airheads. Like,
they are.
They're the classic, like, douchey fuckboy types.
Yes, very much so. Except for Tony, who's like her best
Tony,
friend.
which is her best friend.
And there's a running joke throughout the movie that he's mad for her. Like, he's just in love with her. And he's very kind to her. Obviously, he's her best friend. And he's always just like, stop messing around with her. He's always standing up for her, and he's always like on her side, and always like, oh, let's go ahead and go do this, and so on and so forth. But yeah,
he's a sweetie pie. Anyway, so she starts playing with the boys again, and one of them ends up like lifting her up. I don't know why, but he does. And her mom happens to be walking through the park, and she sees. And then, so she catches Jess playing with those boys. At home, she's getting yelled at by her mom for allowing not only a boy to touch her all over, but she's also showing the world her stuff. So that's when Jess decides to tell her parents that she's joined a girls' team. This scene, like, kills me. Because their mom, the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is... So essentially, she's like, you're not going to play football anymore. You're done. What man is going to want a fiance who knows how to play football but can't cook?
It's very gender role reductive kind of stereotype.
Those. She mentions like a comment because her dad's there. She's like, she's going to end up just like your niece who ran off with a white boy with blue hair. And now she's working as a model in these tiny little skirts. And she's like, she's a fashion designer. She's like, she's divorced. That's what she is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, singing the whole divorce trope and
Yeah. And
all
now
that.
her mom can't even go to church.
Yeah. She's brought shame upon her family.
Mm-hmm.
All that fun stuff. So she said, no more football. Alrighty. So Jess is upset. Clearly, she's walking with her friend Tony, and he tells her to just play and to not tell them. Jules finds them in the park. Can we just talk about how active and outgoing all these people are?
Mm-hmm.
You would never catch people just going on a stroll in the park, and just randomly find people.
That's true.
That is not a thing out here. I mean, I know it's partially probably because it's beyond hot, but also we're just not this outgoing.
I also wonder if it's the community. Here, everything is so spread out. You don't traditionally find people in the same area. But if you go to the same park, I mean, when I used to hike all the time, and I used to hike at the same time every day and stuff like that, you kind of run into the same people. So I don't know. It can be some of that. So
yeah. Okay. That was right. So Jules finds them playing, and she tells her that she needs to keep playing and that Joe has an American Scout coming over. She says that she can just go ahead and cover for her by fake getting a job at HMV. So that way she can go ahead and keep playing in secret. So Jess agrees, and we get a montage of all of their games and practices. So while Pinky's at work, well, she's supposed to be at work, but she's really sneaking off with her fiance, making out in a car.
So their dad, Jess and Pinky's dad, works at Heathrow Airport. I think Pinky also worked at Heathrow.
I think she does too. I thought for a second that she was a stewardess. Yeah, based on how she was dressed. But she might just be a front desk person.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Like a help desk person.
Yeah.
And then Jess makes a comment earlier that when she was growing up, her mom worked at Heathrow. Oh, it's when she's telling the Scar story. She was mentioning that her mom was working late at Heathrow. And so this whole family basically has worked at Heathrow, essentially, except for Jess.
Yeah. So she gets a call from her mom to pick Jess up from work. And so obviously that doesn't happen. Jess arrived at home alone, and her mom asks why her sister didn't pick her up. So Pinky gets home and she's like, why didn't you pick up your sister? And she makes up a lie. She goes, oh, manager said I just missed her. So Pinky pulls her aside and she's like, so tell me who the guy is. She thinks that she's sneaking off with some guy. But she tells her that she's just playing soccer in secret. And she goes, oh, this is worse off than I thought.
Right. She's like, how dare you? This is even worse than seeing a guy.
Right? Shame. And that's when she tells her, she's like, you put a little makeup on. You're actually kind of good looking. So I think they have a fitting for their outfit. And one of the seamstress ladies, she makes the comment, oh my God. And this scene reminds me so much of my grandmother's sisters. So my mom's it reminds me so much of them, which I probably why I thought it was funnier. But she makes a comment. She's like, oh, I can, even with these mosquito bites, I can make these look like juicy, juicy mango.
That part was really funny. Oh my gosh. They all have a good laugh about that.
Yeah, they did. Everyone except Jess, of course.
Yeah.
But she tells her she tells her mom that she needs to buy new shoes for her outfit. So she gives her money, and then Jess and Jules, they have a little shopping day.
Which her mom is over the moon at the fact that she's even interested in buying shoes.
Mm-hmm. She's very tomboyish. So the fact that she needs not one pair of shoes, but two for her outfit, she's like, oh my God, look at you. And so when Jess gets home, her family sees that she bought soccer shoes instead of, that's not true. She buys 2 pairs of shoes. One pair is the soccer shoes and then another pair are flat. And her mom sees them and she's like, these don't even have a heel. They're so funny. They're so plain.
She's like, you can't wear this to the wedding.
I know. How dare you opt for comfort? Oh, goodness. So she's in trouble again. Next practice, Joe makes Jess run a bunch of laps for chatting during their workout. And so she's running her laps. He tells her that she can stop. And she's like, oh, I just have a few more to go. She ends up like hurting her ankle. I think she sprains it or something. Mm-hmm. And that's when he ends up telling her about his estranged relationship with his dad. Jess goes over to Joel's house, and so that way Jess doesn't have to return her soccer shoes. Jules loans her a pair of her mom's shoes for the wedding.
I love the fact that she's like, what's this bow on here? And she's like, oh yeah, my mom glued those on herself.
Yeah. So then she meets Jules' mom, which this woman is like, I would say very blatantly racist. Like she's one of those like blatant, but like one of those like subtle racist. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing a comedian, and she's African American, but she's from England. And she was saying how the people out there are ninja racists because you don't even know your names. I think so. Yeah. Did you see it?
Oh, I did see it. Yes. I love that one.
That is Joel's mom reminds me of.
Yep. Very much so. Her mom has a lot of issues. And we will get into some more of them as we continue on.
Yeah. So she meets Joel's mom. And of course, she's beyond disappointed to learn that she's one of Joel's soccer mates. And she's like, are you a friend from work? Are you a friend from school? And she's like, nope, she's a footballer with me. And her face is just like, ugh.
She's like, why?
I
why
know,
is
right?
It all football.
So Jules and Jess are at a bus stop laughing about the interaction with her mom when Pinky's soon-to-be in-laws drive by, and they think that Jess is making out with an English boy.
At first, I actually thought that this was Jess's parents because I didn't quite get a good look at them. Yeah. And so I thought that Jess was going to be in trouble just for that. But then it ended up being an even worse problem.
Yeah, even worse. So when Jess gets home, Pinky is crying off in a corner, and her in-laws they're there, but they're on their way out. And they tell Jess that the wedding is called off because of her and that she's ruined her sister's life.
All because they think that she was making out with an English boy.
Yeah.
Not even that she was making out with a girl, but because she was making out with a boy.
Yeah. Well, of course, Jess tells her, she's like, no, it's my friend Jules. She's a girl. We were not making out. And then her mom is like, oh, these English girls, sometimes they have such short hair. You can't tell.
And they don't do anything after that. Like, they don't try and call them back and explain or anything. No. They're just like, they do believe her at least. Yeah. They give them that credit, but
they just accept it.
They don't try and fix anything for Pinky.
So Pinky ends up ratting Jess out anyways. She's like, oh, what did she say? She's like, oh, she's probably with one of her dykey friends on the football team. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so they're just like, of course, reacting to that. And so her mom is like, why did I have to get 2 daughters that misbehave? And she's like, what did I do? She's like, we knew you were sneaking out with that teacher. Let's don't think we didn't know. And but yeah, so at practice, Joe asks Jewel where Jess is, that it's her second practice in a row that she's missed. And she ends up telling him that her parents were unaware that she was playing, so she probably got caught.
And in between this, we do see a very sweet scene after everything went down with Jess's parents, where Jess actually is comforting Pinky because Pinky is distraught that her engagement is over. But Pinky is in her room and Jess is like comforting her and like they're having a very sweet sister moment. So they do care
Yeah.
for one another. Like it's not just like sibling rivalry the entire
Oh,
time.
yeah.
They do care for each other. They cover for each other. They are very loving towards one another. And there is like that sibling relationship there.
Yeah. For sure. Joe pays Jess and her family a visit. And
So
oh,
I
go
also
ahead,
have to
Jess.
note this, like, he is the absolute most attractive when that door opens.
The way the light shined down on him, it was like
Yes.
the angels were singing. I would say they had very good lighting on that scene. And
Good lighting. And I had texted you like right after
was
I
it
was
on
done
that
watching
scene?
this. No. It was after I was done watching this whole movie.
Oh, okay.
Like we had mentioned in Vanity Fair, like he has the potential to be
Oh,
attractive.
yeah.
And this is that movie that shows that he is attractive. Like
He
he is
is.
a very attractive man. And is it just me or is he actually like look taller? Like he
Or I
looks so
can't
much
tell.
taller in this than he did in Vanity Fair, in my opinion. I don't know
couldn't,
why,
but
but and in this movie, he has his natural Irish accent. Like in Vanity Fair, he doesn't, which I didn't know that he was even Irish in Vanity Fair. And
yeah.
in this, he is full Irish, and it is so wonderful in so many ways.
You're like, it so works for him. It suits him very well.
Oh my gosh. Yep. That's all I can say. Yep.
So he visits her family to ask them to reconsider allowing Jess to play because he thinks that she has great potential. That's when her dad tells him about how he was not allowed to play on any of the teams after coming to this country and how they made fun of his turban and set him packing. He doesn't
For
want
cricket, by the way.
it was cricket, yeah. He doesn't want him raising her hopes just to be disappointed like he was. So, I know, sad. Joe tells Jess that they're going to Germany to play. And he says he understands her situation, but that they may not know what is best for her.
What's very sweet is like, so Jess and Joe are having the conversation outside after she like walks him out essentially. And she's like, I don't understand. You say this like everything is so easy. And he's like, it's your life. You're like, I'm just trying to help you have what's best for you.
So they continue to keep lying about Jess playing. And Pinky ends up covering up for Jess, so that way she can go to Germany.
See? That sibling relationship where
Yes.
Pinky's like, all right, even though my engagement is over because this future in-laws thought that you were making out with a boy, I'm still gonna come through for you.
And there's a scene at some point where I think it was before when Pinky and P2 were like meeting in a parking lot to try to figure out things too.
Oh, yeah.
So while the girls are in Germany, Jess's dad, sees a photo in the newspaper of the team stating that the girls are going to be playing in Germany. So, and this is when Jess got off the phone with her mom, pretending that she was at a cousin's house. And so the mom gets off the phone. She's like, good. Jesse's with her cousin, no more football. And that's when her dad sees the photo and he's like, get them back on the phone.
Well, supposedly it's Pinky and Jess are at their cousin's house. Is the story.
Oh, I did not know that.
So I think Pinky is also with T2. So I think they're both covering together.
Oh, well, okay.
Because when she's on the phone with her mom, she's saying that Pinky is making pasta and that she needs to go.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. Also, she was coming for herself. So they win their game in Germany. Or no, they lose their game. I'm sorry.
But they had some really good plays. Yeah. And the scout, as we learned, was there.
So unfortunately, they lose their game, but they end up going. The opposing team, I think, says that they want to take them out to go clubbing. And they give Jess a little makeover because she did not bring any clothes for the club. So they all go clubbing, including Joe.
So I want to make a comment about that as well. Like, most of the time when your team goes out to celebrate, Your coach does not go with you.
Yes. It's a weird situation.
It is a very weird situation.
Also, the fact that they're so young. So that's why I'm convincing myself that these girls are at the very least 18. But even for that, I feel like that's very young for like, because we don't know how old Joe is.
Right.
This guy can be like well into his 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. And so ironically enough, like Perinder, she's actually 2 years older than Jonathan. I looked that up. So, but I do love Keira Knightley's outfit in this scene. And I love Perinder's outfit in this scene as well.
They both look really good. Yeah.
They look gorgeous in the scene.
They look gorgeous. I feel like in comparison to the other girls, I feel like the other girls were dressed more cash. And these girls were dressed for a night, man.
Yeah. They kicked it up. But I think this also leads credence to the idea that they're all at least 18. Because in Europe, you can drink at 18.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, you can't. So I'm assuming that you can at least get into clubs at 18 as well. So that's my thought process there.
There we go. So you can see they're at the club and you can see that Jules is very into Joe. She's flirting. Yeah.
We missed that when Jess and Jules were at the bus stop laughing about her, Jules' mom. Jess had asked Jules, "Are you into Joe?"
Oh, yep.
And she said no. And she said, "I would like to eventually maybe have somebody like Joe at some point in time, but I'm not into Joe. There are rules. He's our coach. He could be kicked out or something like that if anything were to happen. What about you?" And then Jess says, "I'd like an Indian version of Joe." And then Jules starts laughing. So that's why this next part is so important.
Yeah. So clearly Jules is into Joe. She makes him go, like she forces him to go dancing with her. But then Joe gets Jess to dance along too. So you can tell that he's kind of into her. They've been drinking. So Jess goes outside for some fresh air and Joe follows her. Her and Joe are about to kiss when Jules sees. And she calls her a bitch and storms off.
Is it just me or was the dancing just absolutely silly?
Cringe. Yeah.
So silly. Oh my gosh. It was so bad. And I was just like, what is happening here?
Now that was cartoonish.
Yes, very cartoonish. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So when they arrive back home, Jules just storms off. She leaves. And they see that Jess's parents are waiting there for her. So the reason why I didn't think that Pinky went with, because Pinky is there with her parents waiting.
I think they must have figured out where Pinky was. Yeah.
They're just tracking these girls down. So they're both back at home. Jess and Pinky are in the room and she asks her how she knew that her fiance was the one. And if she thinks that her parents would still talk to her even if she brought home a gore. They Googled that and it's a foreigner. That's what the internet says. So a foreigner to them, essentially. Basically someone who's not Indian for content.
Right, exactly.
So of course Pinky freaks out and she's like, "It's that coach of yours, isn't it?" She's like, "I knew that something was up when he came over." Yeah, so she knows. Jess goes to see Joe and she finds out that they're considering him for the assistant coach for the men's soccer team. And it's basically to tell him that she's off the team for good. Again, Joe tries talking her out of it.
Well, and then in this conversation, she's saying, "That's so great. You should really take to heart like how much you've done for the girls team and really be proud of that and see how far you've come." And then he's saying, "Well, why don't you do that for yourself as well? Like, why are you giving up on yourself?" And so she's like taking that to heart as.
Yeah. And he mentions, he's like, "Yeah, my dad would freak or whatever if he found out that I was coaching the girls team." And she's like, how do you not know that he would be proud of you?
Right.
So Jess then goes over to Jules' house to try to make amends. They get into an argument over Joe when Jules' mom overhears the argument. And she specifically overhears Jules telling Jess that she betrayed her and that she really hurt her. And with that information, her mom thinks that she is a lesbian, that she was in a relationship with Jess, and that is why she's heartbroken.
And she takes this just about as well as one might assume she would, as problematic as she is thus far. She just sits at her table and cries to her husband, and her husband's cool with it. He's like, okay.
He's
and
like, okay, right. I know. She's like, oh, what they did to that poor George Michael, putting his personal life all over. And he's like, George Michael's still a superstar. You still listen to him. And she is just sobbing over this information.
Yep.
Literally devastated.
And will continue to be throughout the entire rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Nothing changes. Jess and Tony are at the park, and she asks him if he likes her, if they can go out, because essentially she wants to make up for the fact that she fell for her coach and try to make things right again with their parents. And dating Tony apparently is the only way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're talking about how much they both like Beckham, David Beckham, and he's like, but I really like Beckham.
Yeah. He's like, I really like Beckham. So Tony comes out to Jess, and her response, she's like, but you're Indian.
She's like, what is your mom going to say?
Oh, like, oh, God.
But yeah, so then she's the only person who knows throughout the entire movie. Yeah. He never tells anybody else. And
how pretty. Can you blame him?
Yeah. No, definitely not. Especially in 2001, 2?
Early 2000.
Yeah.
Very traditional Indian family. I could never.
Yeah. But she's really cool with it overall. Like, she's like, this doesn't change anything between us at all.
I know. As it should be.
Yeah.
I hate, something that annoys me is when people receive, like, it doesn't annoy me, but I don't feel like it should be this way. When people receive, like, praise for not being, like, homophobic or transphobic, for just being, I'm like, that should be the bare minimum. Like, that should be the expectation. You know what I mean?
Right. Just, like, treat people like humans.
Right? Like,
be a decent human being.
Exactly.
How is that so hard? I don't understand.
So it's another game day. And once again, Pinky covers for Jess. So that way she can go and sneak off to another game. So her parents drive off and she's pretending to be sick to stay home. So that way she can sneak off to the game. But her dad forgot, I want to say like his cell phone maybe or a wallet.
Yeah, something
like that. Yeah. So he comes back to go pick that up. And he's calling out for Jess and realizes that she's not there. So instead, he decides to go to the game by himself to watch her. They end up winning that game, but towards the end, a girl pulls on Jess's shirt and calls her a packy.
A packy. Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable. I'm like, oh. So in the locker room after the game, Joe yells at her for, in his mind, that she's overreacting. So she follows him outside. She's like, I don't understand why you had to yell at me like that. That's when he's like, you overreacted. I saw what happened. She just pulled your shirt. And she tells her that's not all. She also called her a packy. And his response, because she's like, but you wouldn't know what that feels like. And he responds by saying, I understand. I'm Irish. I did not realize that the Irish received such hate.
They did. Like especially in England, there's a lot of like almost Civil War like stuff that happened between the Irish and English. Like there's something called the Trouble that happened between Ireland and England. And it also happened here in America too. Like the Irish were also called and discriminated against here in America. But it's definitely not to the same degree. So the racism is definitely not to the same degree. There is some understanding, but it's just not the same exactly.
Okay. Yeah. That's how I felt it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Because, like, one, he's white.
Like visually, like
Yeah.
visually he blends in with everyone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And you can't really tell until he talks.
yeah. So they end up hugging, and her dad walks over and he sees them.
Awkward.
I know, yeah. It's very intense. He just walks. He's
It
like,
is.
Jess and her dad arrive home, and they see Titu and his parents there, basically stating that the wedding is back on.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. Apparently, she couldn't bear to see her son heartbroken.
And her mother's like, we couldn't bear to see Pinky that way either. It was just crying for days.
She didn't leave room for dinner. She didn't eat. So after Titu and his parents leave, they go back to wedding planning. Her dad calls the venue to discover that the only available date would be on the 25th, which apparently is the same day as their final.
Mm.
So at that moment, Jess looks at her dad and is like, and he just looks back and he says, your sister needs you.
Mm-hmm.
Jill goes to see Joe at work because apparently he also works part-time at a pub or like
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
So she goes to his work wait. Oh yeah, it's Jules. I confused the J's. I'm like, wait.
Yeah. There's so many J's.
But Jules, not Jess. Jules goes to see Joe at work. And that is where he tells him that there's an American scout that will be at the final for both her and Jess.
Joe has asked one of the girls to ask Jules to meet him.
Yeah.
And Jules assumes that he just wants to talk about Jess. And then she says, you lied to me about this. You lied to us and the team about the scout. And he's like, the scout will be there at the final. And she's like, oh, my bad.
I know. Yeah. Like, we all know you're going to leave us next year.
Mm-hmm.
We can't bear the idea of seeing someone else make it or become successful just because you couldn't. Very awkward. Anyways.
And then she's like, oh, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah. Jules ends up going to Jess's house to tell her about the news, but she tells her that she can't go because it's the same day as her sister's wedding.
A lot of hostility going on.
Lots and lots. I know. Lots of drama. I was about to say that this is our whole streak of love triangles continue.
Mm-hmm. I know. I thought about that this morning too. I was like,
I did too.
Love triangles, baby.
Yeah. And then Jules comes home to her father teaching her mom about soccer. That was so cute. Using condiments because she wants to take an interest in Jules' interest. I thought it was so funny because
understand why.
she's trying to be less of a shitty person, I guess.
I suppose.
Well, she says, if I don't take an interest in this, I'm going to lose my daughter, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But it was so funny because her dad is like referencing the salt. He's like, so the salt is this position. And her mom is like, the sea salt. And he's like, the sea salt is this position.
Speaking of sea salt,
Right.
Salt Bay on that shit.
Right. So back at Jess's home, they receive her grades. That's when, yeah, so they receive her grades in the mail and discovered that she got into law school. So I don't know if it was a law school acceptance letter or if it were grades that she received.
I think, you know how you have to take, so I'm going to harken back to my Legally Blonde, but you know how you have to take like the LMAT in order to get into law school? So I wonder if it was something like that where you had to take like a test. And so you had to get your grades in order to make sure that you could actually qualify in order to get into a law school. So I think it's that.
Yes. Okay. But also they call lawyers something different out there. What was it? A solicitor.
Oh.
Yes. Because I saw it, because I had the captions on and he goes, okay, you're going to go, when he sees the grades, he's like, you're going to go and be a top solicitor. And I was like, what? So I had to Google what that is. And apparently out there they call lawyers solicitors.
I wonder how that translates to solicitation out here.
I know, that's what I thought. I'm like, is that a good thing?
Because I know that you can get, like, there are laws against solicitation out here. So
yeah. Oh, God, I hate it so much. I put up a no soliciting sign and this does not work for shit. So Jules ends up telling Joe that Jess is not going to make it to the final because it's the day of her sister's wedding. So then we get another montage of, let's see, Jules training with their coach for the scout that is going to be coming. So originally, Jules and Jess were training together, but now that Jess is out of the picture, she's now training with Mel, their captain, and Jess and her family continued with their wedding celebrations. So this is like a multi-day celebration.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. A lot of Indian weddings are multi-day. They take up a lot of days, a lot of time, a lot of ways of celebrating. And it always looks like so much fun, honestly.
I know, yeah. And then during one of the celebrations, we see like the creepy guy. Did you see him? That's like constantly like eyeing Jess up and has like no boundaries with anyone. I feel like at one point during one of the celebrations, he's motorboating.
Yes, mother-in-law.
Yeah, mom.
Yep, he picks her up and he's like motorboating her.
Literally in front of everyone.
In front of everyone.
And this guy is like creeper alert.
Yeah. And he pulls Jess in to dance and I'm just like,
and lifts her up and she's literally pushing him up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In her house.
No boundaries whatsoever, this guy. So during one of their evening celebrations, Joe goes to Jess's house and he's really just like watching through the window until her dad comes out. See, like, what are you doing?
What do you want?
What do you? Joe tells her dad that the American Scout is coming to their final and that he really thinks Jess should be there and to not let her talent go to waste. So Jess catches Joe leaving and tells him that she'll be starting school soon and that she won't have time for training. And he tells her that that's a shame because he could see her playing for England one day. So it is the day of the final match and the day of the wedding. So we get a montage of the wedding celebrations and all the girls getting ready for their final match.
Which, by the way, we get some phenomenal, like, Bollywood music and dancing.
We do. The soundtrack of this movie is so good.
Yeah. Although, I will say, for whatever reason, in my brain, I feel like it needed some Savage Garden.
Oh, because of what's his face?
Yep. Because of Jonathan. I don't know why. I feel like it needed some Savage Garden.
He looks like he can be in Savage Garden.
Yep. I know. He looks similar to the lead singer.
Does. That's what I think about it. I didn't realize.
I was like, we need some Savage Garden.
Yeah. So during the wedding reception, Tony actually pulls Jess aside and tells her, if we leave now, we can still make the second half of the game. He's so freaking sweet. Where would she be without him? Honestly.
Oh, Tony's the best.
Jess tells him no, that this is his sister's day and doesn't want to ruin it for her parents. And that's when her dad walks over. Of course, he overhears. And she tells him nothing, like, I'm not going to go. I don't want to ruin this for you and mom. That's when her dad is like, your sister is so happy. And you look like you've come to your father's funeral. So he tells her that she should go if that is the only way that he's going to see her smile on her sister's wedding day.
So she gives him a gigantic hug.
So sweet.
And they are off.
Yes. And I love how she's changing in the backseat.
I know.
And what's his face has like, Tony has the biggest smile on his face. I'm like, sir, are you sure you're gay?
I think he's just happy that he's helping his friend.
Which is even sweeter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which she is struggling with the Saris.
That thing looks complex. There are a lot of layers. So beautiful, but
I know. So pretty.
It's like you need multiple people to get that thing on.
And they show it later.
Yeah. So Jen shows up in time to play the second half of the game. And we get another game and wedding montage. And so I love how, I think like someone fouled or something. They kicked her in the leg. And she's, and I don't know what the kick is called, but she's going to go do a kick. It's where the people are standing like in front.
Like a free play?
No idea.
Like a free shot?
Yeah. Something like that.
I'm trying to remember what it's called in basketball.
Are you a basketball fan?
No, but Richard is.
Oh.
He watches it all the time.
Who knows? We don't know. Someone knows, but
I don't know.
Once again. Anyways.
We are not sports people, obviously.
No, we are not. So they have like the 4 or 5 people that are standing right there. And then she looks down, then she looks up and she sees her family standing there instead, just going like, what the fudge? And like the opera music playing over. It's very extra, but it was very perfect.
That's so funny.
Oh man. So they end up winning their game and they meet with the scout afterwards, who ends up apparently offering them a scholarship to play in Santa Clara, California.
So right before they meet the scout, that's where we get the scene of all the girls on the team helping Jess get back into her sari, where they're like wrapping the sari around her, trying to help figure out how to tuck it in correctly and like figure out where the material all goes.
And then also during that conversation with the scout, Joel's parents see them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, like there's a scout. I wonder what they're talking about. And when the scout leaves, because of course they're beyond,
they're so excited.
Yes, they're so happy. And they like, I think they give each other a peck on the like cheek or something.
Yeah.
And both of her parents are just like, their face.
I'm like, excuse me, if Tom Brady and Bill Belichick can kiss after a Super Bowl win, this is fine.
Oh, I wouldn't know about that, but I have no idea who that is. I only know Tom Brady because of the, what's her face? His model wife.
Oh, well, ex-wife now.
Ex-wife. Good for her.
Ex-wife now. Yeah, it starts with a G, doesn't it?
Giselle.
That's right.
So Jess returns back to the wedding and she is ecstatic. So now she's finally actually enjoying herself. And Jules is heading out to celebrate with Jess at her sister's wedding. And her mom offers her a ride. Jules like comes down and she is very tomboy because she's in like slacks and like a button down shirt. And her mom's like, where are you going? She's still crying. Her mom is crying in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh. She's
still
sobbing. Rivers of tears.
And she looks, so she's like, where are you going in your best trousers? So she offers her a ride to Jess's sister's wedding. The celebrations look like they're coming to an end, and Pinky is saying goodbye to everyone outside. And it looks like they're getting into like their wedding car. That's when Jules and her mom show up, and her mom comes over and she is hysterical, calling Jess a hypocrite and accuses her of kissing her daughter. And then she sees that Jess is wearing her shoes and she goes, get your lesbian feet out of my shoes. And like one of the older ladies like, lesbian, but I thought she was a Pisces or something like that. And then another one is like, no, ma'am, we're not Lebanese. We're not I have no idea what's going on.
I'm so glad they were confused by that.
Right? Oh, thank goodness.
Can you imagine if it had been taken seriously?
Yeah, that could have been way worse.
Mm-hmm.
So Jules, of course, is horrified and she takes her mom away. Pinky then pulls Jess aside in the car and she's like, what the fudge is going on? And that's when Jess tells her about the scholarship in America, and Pinky tells her that her parents aren't going to let her go without getting married first. And so Jules and her mom are driving off and she tells them that, and so Jules is like, I'm not a freaking lesbian. We were fighting over their boy-man coach, Joe. Boy-man, Joe. And of course, her mom is relieved. She's like, oh, her tone just completely 180. She's like, oh. And then she's like, well, there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. And she's like, oh, of course not. Oh my gosh. She's just
this woman.
Oh, goodness. So they ride back at Jess's family's house. Everybody's there. So she's trying to figure out how she's going to tell her family about America. That's when Tony decides to announce his and Jess's engagement on the condition that she gets to go to college first, anywhere that everyone is over the moon. Mm-hmm. And they're like, of course. He's so freaking sweet.
He is.
I know.
I feel like in some part that would have really benefited him as well, because Jess also knows his secret. And so then she would have been able to like cover for him too, like bend his beard, if you will.
Yes. Oh, I didn't think about that. Mm-hmm. This has been a beneficial relationship for both of them.
Right. It wouldn't have like been like all that great forever, no, but it could have worked.
Yeah. In the short term. Yeah. But Jess tells him the truth. She's like, he's lying. Poor guy.
I know.
He gets called out
tried,
like
though.
right in front of everyone. I know.
He tried, though.
He did. And so she tells him that, about the American Scout and how she did amazing. She really wants to go. And she's like, I would not have gone, but Dad let me go.
Mm-hmm.
And so from all of that, her mom is just like, let her leave her sister's wedding. So her dad is basically, he doesn't want Jess to suffer like he did, and that he wants her to go and he wants her to fight and win.
Yeah. What I love about this is that her mom, like, finally caved or something like that. I don't know. She, like, changed her mind. She's like, all right, fine. I give up. You win. Like, my one daughter is finally married. I finally taught you how to cook a full Punjabi meal. It's up to God now.
Yeah,
like,
the rest is in God's hands. I did what I could
the rest is in
do.
God's hand.
So Jess goes to see Joe to tell him that her parents are letting her go to America. And she discovers that, they celebrate, and he tries to go in for a kiss because he's no longer going to be her coach anymore. So they're free to do whatever they want. But Jess is like, no, I can't do that. And it was so funny because he goes in to kiss her and then she's like, no. And he like turns really quick and he's like, why is your dad around?
Feel like I don't want to deal with that again.
Yeah. Is he here? But she's like, no. She's like, it's a big step that my parents are letting me leave to America. God forbid I'm in a relationship with a non-Indian. So
Right.
like they wouldn't be able to handle it.
One thing at a time, man.
I know, right?
One thing at a time.
So Jess and Jules are at the airport. They're both saying goodbye to their parents. And Joe runs in and he shows up and tells Jess that he turned the men's coaching position down so that way he can coach the women because they want them to go pro next year.
Well, not only that, he turned down an assistant coaching job for a full-time coaching job. So an assistant coaching job on the men's team for a full coaching job on the women's team.
And he also basically says that he wants to try to make their relationship work, even with the long distance. She says that she's coming back for Christmas and they can tackle her parents then.
One thing at a time.
Right?
One thing at a time.
And so then all of a sudden, like David and Posh Beckham happen to be at the airport at the same exact time. And you see them like walking. And like there's paparazzi. And I didn't even realize that they allow paparazzis in the airport. I didn't think that was a thing.
I think this is prior to all the 9/11 security. Because Joe wouldn't have been able to meet them at the gate either. So.
Oh, I didn't think that they were at the gate. I think it was like right before.
No, because they said that they were about to board.
Oh, yeah, he did, huh? Movie magic. Anyway, but then, so we see Posh and Beckham and what's her face. Jules is like, it's a sign. I don't know for what, but.
I also love how Jules is now okay with Jess and Joe.
She's
like
just
she's
so
kind of
over it.
over
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I mean, what choice does she have? But
there's that. I wonder if they've had like a conversation. Like, did Jess and Jules have like a heart to heart? Like, they've figured it out and have kind of just like come to terms with it and like.
I mean, they must have. This was such an incredible opportunity that she's like, okay, F that.
Right.
She's going to go and meet herself a California boy.
Right. Well, and not only that, like, if he doesn't like you back, like, there's not anything you can do about that.
Right. You just deal. So then the movie ends and closes with Joe playing cricket, as you said, with Jess's family. And I love how they're all dressed exactly the same. So it looks like
all the same.
They're in the same exact outfit, same cute little sweater vest.
At first, I didn't realize it was Joe. Like, I just thought her dad. Yeah, I just thought her dad had finally decided to start playing cricket again. And he had just found a couple of people to start playing cricket with. And then Joe turned his face and I was like, oh my God, it's Joe.
I know. It looks like he broke the news without her.
Well, I'm wondering if he's trying to like get in the good graces.
Definitely. Of course. He can't just show up out of the blue. He needs to form that connection and that relationship first.
Yeah. And so And Pinky is very pregnant. So maybe it's
Oh, yeah.
after the news was broken. So
Yeah, he came in like right in time when everybody is
Mhm.
all high hopes and yeah,
Mhm.
he was very strategic about this.
Yes.
And then it closes with possibly like the best credit thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love this credit sequence.
So I was thinking, I'm like, because it's multiple scenes that they're singing that song. And I was
Mhm.
like, I was wondering if like every time they shot, just every single day they had them sing that song. So that way they would get different snippets from different actors and different scenes.
Yes. Singing hot, hot, hot
Yeah. Because
in the
everyone
regular
from the
lyrics
beginning.
in Punjabi.
Yeah.
Like everybody had to learn some Punjabi.
Yes, they did. They struggled, but
They just, yes.
they
I
just kept
mean,
going.
yeah, absolutely. And some of them did pretty well. It was really funny because you could tell when people got it right because other people were astonished.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, does this pass the Bechdel test? Yes, it does. Yeah.
Oh,
Alrighty. So, a little fun facts about this movie. Parminder. How do we pronounce it?
Parminder.
Parminder.
Yeah.
Okay, Naga. She was worried that the scar in her leg would prevent her from getting the role of Jess. But instead, the scar and the story behind it were worked into the script. So I had no idea before. I thought that it was just makeup and... Isn't that wild? That's amazing. I love that.
Know that either. Holy crap.
No. And apparently, this is the first Western film that was allowed to be shown in North Korea.
I wonder if, what's his face? Kim Jong-un really likes David Beckham.
He's a football fan.
Maybe he really likes David Beckham.
Oh, yeah, he really likes Beckham. Oh, my God. And also, many of the wedding guests in the movie were actual relatives of the director, Gurendir, and they added realism by showing themselves wholeheartedly into the scene, treating the shoot as if it were a real wedding. That is so much fun. How
It
cool would that
was.
be?
You know what's really funny is while we were doing the recap, I was thinking about it. When we did Yentl, that was also a montage flip back scene too, between a wedding and a different scene.
For Yent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was the wedding and the Taylor scene. And this is the wedding and soccer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yep. So I think that's so funny that 2 weeks in a row, not only do we have weird love triangle, but we also have a wedding montage scene mixed with another like random, regular type of life-ish scene.
That's amazing. And then the Hounslow Harriers team does not exist in real life, but almost all of the players in the movie are professional footballers.
That's awesome.
Oh, so they're actual professional soccer players.
That's good.
Fun
Yeah,
stuff.
I love when they bring in like real athletes into athletic movies because one, I am not somebody who plays on a sports team, but you know, I want to be able to at least recognize that something is real.
Yes, and I believe it because whenever I go onto actors like submissions, like on Actors Access, they will ask for whatever profession it is. They will ask for real whatever it is. So like they were doing like a dentist commercial and they were actually asking for real dentists.
What?
Or like, yeah, so they actually ask for people that are actually in that profession. I've noticed.
All right, you're going to have to explain what Actors Access is.
It's just basically a platform for actors to submit for roles.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
I know.
Fun facts with Celeste. Hot damn.
Yeah. So you never know. That person might actually be a doctor in whatever you're watching.
Right? They might actually know what they're talking about.
I know. It's cool. Yeah, it does bring like an element of realism, just like in the movie we just watched. Nomadland. You know how in Nomadland they actually hired actual nomads to be in the film to give it that element.
Yep.
So it works. I like it.
It does. Yeah. It brings that authenticity. Now, if only we could get William Shakespeare to actually do William Shakespeare.
Oh, no. Okay. So, Kenzie, what are your thoughts?
I liked it. It was very fun. And I think it's so funny that I had never actually watched this movie. So,
I
yeah. And it did give me a new found love for not only the Irish accent, but Jonathan Rhys. I do not like him in Vanity Fair, but I do like him in this. So it does go to show that how you treat people can
plays a
really
huge part
elevate
in your appearance. Yeah.
in your attractiveness.
Yeah.
So keep that with you.
Yes.
Be kind to people. Be kind to your fellow human beings. Don't be a jackass.
If you take anything from this episode, is that kindness and generosity
Goes a
make
long
you
way.
hot.
Yes. It brings you at least 3 hotness points.
Yes.
And an Irish accent. But
Irish accent, not mandatory, but it helps.
it definitely helps. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah, I definitely really enjoyed this movie. Definitely a watch.
Hey,
What about you?
I love this movie. This was another childhood favorite of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie so much. It's so much fun. I loved, again, like I said, I loved the soundtrack on it. I think the montages and the soundtrack definitely elevate it. But yeah, so, were you going to say something?
No, I just remembered something. Like, what I also really enjoy is, like, I do love seeing, like, different Indian cultural movies and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the movies that I grew up with that's like an Indian culture movie is Bride and Prejudice.
Bride and Prejudice?
Uh-huh.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's like a Bollywood version
Yeah.
of Pride and Prejudice.
Imagine. Yeah.
So at some point in time, we'll have to do that one because it is phenomenal. So we'll have that one in our back pocket for later as well.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
But yeah, so sorry, go on with your bad self about how this is a childhood favorite because I interrupted you.
You know, you're
What?
good. That was right. Childhood favorite, for sure. One of the first movies that introduced me to Keira Knightley.
Really?
Yes, I don't think. No, that's not true. I lied. Oh my God. One of my favorites of her was the Robin Hood one. What was it called?
There was a Robin Hood one?
Yes, she plays Robin Hood's daughter. It's a Disney movie.
The only Robin Hood one that I know is the cartoon.
The what?
There's a Robin Hood cartoon movie. And they're foxes.
Queen of Thieves? Something Thieves, maybe. Pause. Princess of Thieves. Yeah.
I think my first Keira Knightley movie was Star Wars Episode 4. Or no,
Wait,
I'm sorry,
what?
Episode 1 and 2. So I really liked Star Wars growing up. And so when Star Wars Episodes 1 through 3 came out, I watched them. And
I'm looking at her filmography, and yeah, she was. Who does she play?
so her and Natalie Portman both played Padme. They switched, like they kept going back and forth. But yeah, so they both played Padme.
I thought that they were both
Oh.
now.
She played Sabe.
What the heck? I didn't know that was her in that movie. So I'm gonna find it.
It was mostly Natalie Portman, but every once in a while, Keira Knightley would switch in. From what I understand, the trivia to be, I could be very wrong, but she is in that movie.
Okay, so the year before this movie came out, she was in Princess of Thieves,
I've never
and
heard
she
of it.
plays Robin Hood's daughter. And Robin Hood gets captured, and she dresses up as a boy to go rescue.
Kind of like our last movie, except
Pretty much.
not.
Yeah. I loved that movie when I was younger.
Oh my
Oh my goodness.
gosh. I have to look into that one too. Hot damn.
Got our work cut out for us.
Luckily, we got nothing but time.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Caffeinated Flicks. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can follow us on Instagram at Caffeinated Flicks Pod or email us at caffeinatedflicks@gmail.com.
And just like every other podcast, we would love it if you could follow us in your podcasting app and give us a rating or review. Your feedback helps us get better. And if you're enjoying us so far, please tell a friend.
We'll catch you on the flick side.